Kinjiro was woken up by his younger sister with the same moves WWE warned us not to practice at home, almost leading to his death. He survived and came out for breakfast, which was just tomatoes cut into different shapes, which he had no choice but to eat. On his way to school, he saw Subaru acting as a British knight to Kanade and all other ladies swooning over him. The hand and foot waiting continued well into the school day, down to the toilet, and all the ladies were swooning as usual. Kinjiro watched the exchange and was a bit jealous. Just then, his female classmate wanted to remove something on his face, and he backed away like a gun was pointed at him. This made his friend ask if he was into his gender, but he said no.
やっぱり男が好きなのか違う
He then told him of the rumors flying around about him because he does not associate with girls. Seeing that he can't win, he immediately used the bathroom as an excuse. On his way, he hit a huge plotted girl and ran for his life immediately. He calmed down in the restroom and was about to go number 2. He opened a stall and was met with the half-naked form of Subaru, who turned out to be a girl even though he thought she was a boy. Their eyes met and he fumbled every explanation he wanted to give. He still couldn't fathom that Subaru was actually a girl. They had a face-off at the bathroom entrance and she hit him with a gut punch, but he withstood it. He then ran for his life and hid in the storage room, but she broke down with one punch. They fought and still had time for talk no jutsu. Still thinking she was a boy, Kinjiro tried to save her from a falling glassware, and they tumbled to the ground together. In a weird turn of events, Subaru's clothes came unbuttoned and Kinjiro found his hand on her plots. Subaru then landed a Superman punch that knocked him to the floor. She then finished the job by throwing a fire extinguisher on his head, knocking him out. Kinjiro woke up in the sick bay with 3 of his limbs chained and Kanade sleeping next to him. They discussed and Kinjiro found out the ugly side of the most popular girl in school. Kanade then discovered his morbid fear of girls and used it to get her way. She decided to help him with his condition on the premise that he doesn't reveal Subaru's secret to her father, the school chairman. She also put Subaru in charge of keeping watch on Kinjiro so that he doesn't spill the secret. At school, Kinjiro's classmates have been noticing that he and Subaru have been coming to school together lately, and gossip has been flying all around about them being an item. His friend then told him about the Subaru fan club and how they are out to get him. However, the club is facing a civil war between 2 different factions, so he was safe for a while. He met Kanade by the corridor and she gave him a command car that he can use to command Subaru to do anything he wished. She even gave him pervy ideas to use. After school, Kanade planned that Kinjiro and Subaru go on a date to help him cure his condition, but she didn't tell him. Subaru changed into a more comfortable dress and they went teddy bear hunting. Afterwards, they sat on a bench and enjoyed soda while they talked. Kinjiro then explained the root of his gynophobia, his mother and sister who used him as their personal punching bag since he was 5. Afterwards, Subaru started the second phase as instructed by Kanade and Kinjiro withstood all 3 attempts. Kanade then told him to use the command card as his reward. Subaru was surprised that he had it, but she had no choice but to obey. In the end, Kinjiro decided to go the straight and narrow and asked her to bleat like a sheep. Moments after, Kinjiro received a 2-legged flying kick thought to be impossible to land from his younger sister Kiraha, who was worried that he might be going out with a boy and was tailing them, and came to the conclusion that Subaru was a cross-dresser. She tried to defend her brother's honor, but she was soundly defeated and she ran away crying. The 2 of them soon parted ways and Kinjiro got home to see that his sister had stabbed her teddy bear to the wall as a threat. He decided to channel his inner lady and fix the stuffed animal with his dainty sewing skills. The next day, the school decided to take each student's body measurement. Kinjiro was worried, and he freaked out and asked the nurse to allow him to measure her chest. She did the same for him too. The same thing happened during the heartbeat measurement, and he passed out after. After school, Kinjiro was surprised when Kiraha told him that she had fallen in love with Subaru. The next morning, Subaru entered just as Kiraha was exiting the bathroom half naked. She screamed like she had speakers installed and ran to her room and won't come out. Apparently this was a form of amusement for Kanade. She even made matters worse in school when Kiraha came looking for Kinjiro by telling her that she was dating her brother. She even had proof. Kanade then suggested a double date so that she can help Kiraha bag Subaru. The date was their first outing as a group and Subaru brought a stun gun which didn't deter Kiraha one bit. They had to separate when going to the locker room, and Subaru was really shy seeing men walk around in their underpants. They soon met at the pool, and Kanade went with Kinjiro while Kuraha went with Subaru. Kinjiro then asked when last she came here. She told him she hasn't been here since her and Subaru were kidnapped there as children. They then began couple playing, and Kinjiro couldn't help but become Sanji as his blood flowed from his nose like a waterfall. After they swam a little, Subaru and Kinjiro went to get some water for the lady. They soon saw a girl drowning, and Kinjiro went in to save her. His Aquaman skills overcame his condition and saved the girl. He then passed out after the girl was out. Just then, Subaru got handed a phone by a child and got a call saying the girls had been kidnapped. Kinjiro knocked her out and went to save the girls himself, and he got a beating from the kidnapper, but still stood. However, Subaru came just in time and saved the day with her Black Widow skills. After the battle, the kidnapper then revealed himself to be Subaru's father and jumped on her like a happy puppy. Subaru passed out and woke up in Kanade's mansion where he was being treated. Afterwards, Subaru hugged him and cried in his arms. She was worried that he was hurt, but he calmed her down and promised to become stronger. The Golden Week finally arrived, and Kinjiro was happy that he would have the house to himself. But his doorbell rang and he opened it to see Subaru dressed in Nico ears. She promised to do his bidding so long as he allowed her stay. Apparently it was another of Kanade's plans. Although she was kicked out of the house, he had no choice but to let her in. Meanwhile, Kira was in the mountains for a survival training for her arts and crafts club. Kinjiro was about to go and slack off during the holidays, eat and sleep then repeat again. Subaru vowed to put her interim master on the right path in life. As this was happening, Kuraha was having a face-off with a literal bear. She was ecstatic about fighting it and jumped to meet the challenge. Soon after, Kinjiro and Subaru finished sparring at the dojo under his house. She then helped him to put the laundry in the machine. He entered the bathroom to chill, but Subaru entered to rub his back, just like any butler would. During the process, she slipped on the soap and fell on his back, pushing her plots on him. Kinjiro felt it and immediately started to drool blood. Just then, Kuraha entered unexpectedly and started to tell her brother how she got sent home early for fighting with a bear and breaking her arm. Meanwhile, Kinjiro told Subaru to be silent and not make a sound. But his sister found folded female undergarments and broke down the door. She found Subaru and Kinjiro in the bathroom and immediately switched into crush mode and passed out. Just as they were having dinner, Kanade appeared out of the blue wearing a maid costume. Her attitude was odd and Kinjiro just wanted her out of his home. But she wouldn't leave and requested for a duel. As it was going on, Kinjiro passed out and Kanade found that he had a high fever. He was put on bed rest and Subaru waited on him. She fed him some pepper mixture disguised as soup and his tongue was about to burn off. She then wiped him with very hot towels and ended it with electroshock therapy. Later that night, Kanade told him the real reason why Subaru was kicked out and he was at the center of it. It also involved Subaru's father and Kinjiro had to forgive him before they were allowed back. After a long talk no jutsu by Kinjiro, they made up and all was well. On his way to school a random morning, Kinjiro got hit by a girl riding a scooter. He was okay, but the girl was unresponsive although she was alive. Just then, she woke up and was about to cover the scene up but was even more surprised to find that Kinjiro was okay and even a student of her school. Same year. He was looking for his glasses and saw that I was in the middle of the scooter girl's thighs. He tried to get her to get it for him but he phrased it wrongly. She thought he was being pervy. She then proceeded to launch Mortal Kombat kicks at him but he dodged them all. She then looked at him closely and recognized him as Kuraha's older brother. She introduced herself as Uzami along with a Robin Hood type kick that left her boot imprints underneath his clothes. Kinjiro woke up in the school sick bay with Subaru beside him teasing him about his sleep talking. Subaru then asked why he was avoiding Kanade but he didn't have the heart to tell her that they massaged each other's lips at the end of the Golden Week. She also wanted Kinjiro to accompany her to the school festival and he agreed easily. After much pestering, he told her about the lip massage and they both went on an awkward silence. Subaru then tried to soothe him by massaging his lips with hers too but he had no idea how to act. Before it could happen, Kanade entered and Subaru fell down like a mango tree. Kinjiro tried to escape, but she jumped on him like a cowboy. She then told them about Class B's activity for the school festival, a cross-dressing cafe. Meanwhile, Uzami also called Kinjiro and asked him to go out with her. He gave her the straightest of faces and walked off. She confronted him whether it was due to Subaru that he wouldn't go out with her, but he said it was all a misunderstanding. She even had a photo of him and Subaru on a date, and accused him of letting Subaru look more like a girl lately. Not wanting to let the secret come out, Kinjiro had no choice but to agree or the picture will spread. Just then, Subaru came looking for him and he had no choice but to play along with Uzami's plans. They even went on a practice date to pick out new clothes for the school festival. Meanwhile, Class B began preparations for the upcoming school festival. The school festival started and Class B's cafe was in full swing and Subaru was dressed in female attire. The girls thought she was cross-dressing, and they all swooned at her beauty. They all wanted her to serve her table. Meanwhile, Uzami and Kinjiro were on their date and they were arguing who should take the lead. Uzami decided to show him how it's done. During one of their sitting periods, Uzami wanted to feed him some of her sweets, but the sweet moment was sabotaged by Subaru, who used being his friend as an excuse to tag along. The two girls began competing and Subaru bore the brunt of the attack. Their next stop was the animal farm, where they saw Kuraha serving tables there. She served their table and commented that she didn't know that Uzami and her brothers were close. Kuraha then began to touch Uzami in tender places and Kinjiro almost spilled blood. Kuraha then noticed Subaru and immediately forgot her brother and his date. Just as Kuraha and Subaru went to check out the rest of the animal store, the sheep mascot gave Kinjiro a wrestling technique and pushed him out of the store. The mascot then introduced herself as Nakuru, another member of the Arts and Crafts Club. She warned him about the war between the two factions in the Subaru fan club and told him to run away. But before she could tell him the full truth, Uzami came and wanted to attack Kinjiro. However, Subaru came to protect him and she asked what was going on. He had no choice but to tell her about the fan club and their intending war between themselves. Afterwards, Nakuru snuck Subaru and Kinjiro into the meeting, and found out that the leader was none other than Kanade. Seeing her, Kinjiro shouted his displeasure and the girls were about to dispense jungle justice, but Kanade saved them. The competition was a general knowledge quiz about Subaru's life and movements, and the red team was ahead, the blue team was close behind. It soon got to the final question and anyone who answered correctly wins the match. The question was who was the first ever person to massage Subaru's lips. She was embarrassed and didn't want to answer, but Kinjiro pushed her. He was surprised to see that she pointed to him. The answer was correct and their team won the game, but Kinjiro was still speechless. Kanade decided to rub salt to their wounds by showing a video of the lip massaging. One hot summer afternoon, Subaru came to Kinjiro's house to ask him to elope with her. He was shocked, but she doubled down. Just then he passed out and figured that he was drugged. He woke up in a random room with random clothes on and Kanade sleeping beside him. He jumped up and demanded why he was abducted and where they were. Kanade told him that they were in a hot spring inn near a certain beach and she rented the whole place for them. She then told him that she ran away from home due to a childish tantrum about where to travel for summer. Rich people problems. Later that day, they went to the beach and Subaru was feeling shy about her outfit, but Kinjiro complimented her and she felt better. Just before they went to play in the water, Kanade began phase 2 of Kinjiro's treatment. She asked him to put some sunscreen on her body. As he applied it with one finger, she teased him with her high-pitched voice and even practiced her sexy voice. As he finished, Subaru asked him to come play some beach games, but she took the games to the extreme and Kinjiro ran for his life. After escaping the death trap, Kinjiro went to buy some drinks. He entered the nearby bar, but his glasses fell off and got dirty. Just then, he saw Nakuru and she teased him with her plots. He was saved by Uzami with another double-legged flying kick. He was surprised to see them and even more surprised to see Kuraha with them. They explained the misfortune that brought them here and it somehow included a great white shark. They had no money and no clothes. Kuraha let it slip that he was vacationing with Kanade and Subaru. Moments after, Subaru called and told him that they were on their way and he vehemently told them not to. They came anyway and Kinjiro tried to use a pair of glasses to disguise Subaru. However, she thought he was into things like that. Kuraha came to check them out and she was blatantly lied to that Subaru was in fact Subaru's cousin, and she fell for it hook, line, and sinker. When they entered, Uzami confronted Kinjiro and Kanade about their relationship, but Kanade outplayed her and showed her who was boss.
もちろん昨日の夜も一緒に寝たわ。
In the end, Kanade let the lost girls join them in the inn. Nakuru decided to cash in the prize she won from the Subaru fan club tournament, a command card that Subaru cannot ignore. She then asked Subaru to read her fan fiction manga out loud like a bedtime story. Subaru couldn't go through with it and threw the book like Captain America's shield. The next morning, Subaru woke up to the sleepy forms of all the ladies in his room. Their plots were half showing and he escaped to the baths. However, Subaru was also in the bath and they both freaked out. Before he could come out, Subaru's father entered and he had to hide her so he wouldn't get beat up again. Like every parent, he began asking him what his intentions were for his daughter and his answer was satisfactory enough. But he just couldn't get along with Kinjiro and he left. Kinjiro then finally asked the real reason they were at the inn because everyone was here already. But before she could talk, Subaru's father came and having found his daughter's undergarments, he assumed that they took a bath together and launched a flying kick at Kinjiro, but Subaru countered with a block and an uppercut sending him into the ground unconscious. However, Kinjiro couldn't take his eyes off her body and he received a kick to the head as response. The next day, both Kinjiro and Subaru's father had no recollection of what happened the night before. After breakfast, they all went and had fun playing games on the beach. Later that night, Kanade and Uzami were fighting for the right to hold Kinjiro's hand and they decided to settle it with a shooting game. Meanwhile, Subaru disappeared to God knows where. Kinjiro went to look for her but her father blocked his way. He then explained that this was where Subaru's mother was buried. After the festivities and fireworks, Subaru made a very bold declaration to Kinjiro.
俺たちもずっと友達だ。
ただの友達じゃ嫌なんだ。
After the beach vacation, Kinjiro got roped into working part-time at Uzami's workplace as a plate washer due to their workers catching the flu. The manager thought that Uzami and he were dating and that made him remember what Subaru told him at the beach. Soon after, the manager came to drag him to serve customers. When he came outside, he saw that Kanade had come to make his life a living hell again. She had apparently purchased him and Uzami just from passing by. She even gave Subaru the slip just to see her worry and panic. Meanwhile, Subaru was running around town looking for Kanade. On one of her rest stops, a stranger dragged her into a male host cafe because she wore a suit, the same as the other male hosts. Kanade, however, was frustrating Uzami and Kinjiro just took it in his stride. Just as Kanade was about to leave, Nakuru and Kuraha walked in as new part-time helpers. They gave them maid uniforms and they looked pretty. As this was happening, Subaru was killing it at the male host's shop, but he couldn't leave until he paid off the cost of the property he damaged when he tried to run away earlier. Kinjiro, on the other hand, was pretty chill about the whole affair. He had no problem with Kanade bossing everyone around. But when it affected his work, he put his foot down, but in the process, he tripped and tore Uzami's blouse and his hand ended up on her plots. After squeezing it twice, he promptly passed out. When he woke up, the manager was worried but Kanade decided to spin a false tale of maid fetish involving Kinjiro that made his sister run out in tears. Even the rest of the workers believed her and Kinjiro had no way to prove his innocence. They decided to test him to see whether Kanade was lying. But oddly, the test was for Uzami to show him her underpants holder and see whether he will break. After much convincing, Uzami agreed and Kinjiro almost caved in, but he was saved by Subaru who came to take her master. Kinjiro ran after her and they finally had a chance to discuss. They decided to be best friends, but Subaru had a sad look in her eye. A new semester began today, but Kinjiro was experiencing the same old wrestler system from his sister. Subaru waited for him on his way to school, and they talked as they walked to school. The fated Uzami crash almost happened, but Subaru saved him and she ran into a wall. When she crawled out of the crash, Uzami saw Subaru and Kinjiro with the lips almost touching. Still thinking that Subaru was a man, she confronted Kinjiro on getting aroused by another man. She then offered Subaru a piece of bread as payment and drove off. School resumed and Kanade already had incriminating evidence on Kinjiro. She then invited him to join them for lunch. During the lunch, Kanade planned for Subaru to lick sauce off Kinjiro's neck while he leaked blood. However, the sauce had wine inside and Subaru became really chatty and slept off in his arms that he had to carry her to the sickbay. He got back to class and Kanade was worried for her butler that she blurted out a cute phrase that got Kinjiro and his classmates looking like they've just heard God speak. But Kinjiro quickly got his wits and covered for her while they went back to the sick bay. Kanade then explained that her unique phrase was as a result of hiccups, but they won't just stop. Subaru was awake when they got back, and she explained that her hiccups was a matter of natural security as it always caused riots. But in the end, she fell for the hiccup charm and Kanade sent her home to het the hiccup remover. When they were alone, she tried to seduce him to tell her his feelings for Subaru, but he ran away as fast as he could. On their way to class, Kanade and Subaru fell down the stairs and Kanade hurt her ankle. She was soon rushed to the hospital and treated. When her father arrived, he was about to sack Subaru, but Kanade would not hear of it. Subaru ran away, and when Kinjiro tried to catch her, she used his condition against him and he watched her go with blood pouring down his nose. When he woke up, he saw Yuzami, and as he stood up, the wind blew and he saw her underpants. He received a straight kick to the face as payment for sight. She then drove him to where he thought Subaru would be, but he was scared of riding bikes and grabbed her plots tightly as she drove. He soon arrived at the inn where they went on a break and he saw her there. He tried to convince her to come back, but she wouldn't agree. Kinjiro agreed to stay back with her and he called Kanade to inform her. But Subaru's father rained threats on him as he was with his daughter alone. They soon had their baths and slept on different sides of the room. They couldn't sleep and they talked. Kinjiro thought pervy thoughts and Subaru was surprisingly down for more than just lip massaging. But he held back himself through sheer force of will and cried in his futon. However, Subaru came to sleep behind him and he almost lost his soul. They settled for just holding hands in separate futons, but Kinjiro couldn't help but bleed. The next day, Subaru's father ran down and choked Kinjiro, asking whether he defiled his daughter or not. When he got home, his sister thought he was into guys and put him through another round of finisher moves. They soon got to school and Kanade told Kinjiro that Subaru transferred school. All the girls in the school went into a state of mourning for the loss of their celebrity. However, Subaru enrolled under a fake name and with fake glasses and became a new student in Kiraha's class. When he found out her class during break, Kinjiro asked her out and even his sister was trying to discourage her from going on a date with him. Meanwhile, the Subaru fan club tried to attack him for causing Subaru to transfer. But he enlisted their help in bringing Subaru back as a butler. She agreed and came back and everyone was happy.
ジローのおかげで僕は執事に戻ることができた。だから